You're going to see me do all of the things, planning a figure drawing, gesture drawing lesson with my advanced class, how I prep materials, how I organize my classroom. I'll give you a little classroom tour, and acrylic painting techniques that I'm using with my foundation students. Without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm driving to work right now. It's really beautiful out. The sun is just starting to fully rise. I'm drinking iced coffee right now, even though it's quite cold. I'll just eat my breakfast in the car. I actually look forward to my commute. I used to have a really long one, but at this current teaching site, I am only 6 minutes away, which is just like a dream. And I'll see you in the classroom. Hey art teachers, my name is Claire. I'm a high school art teacher at an independent school in the Pacific Northwest. And today you're gonna come along with me for a day in the life of a high school art teacher. If you like these type of videos and wanna see more day in the life of art teachers, just like this one, like and subscribe to the Art of Education YouTube channel. All right, let's see what the day holds. So something I really like to do at the start of class is called Sketch of the Day. And it is so helpful to have that kind of buffer from the start of class to the lesson for any students who are arriving to class late. It also creates some accountability for attendance and being on time, because I do give students credit for doing these. They have to have a certain number in order to get the full credit for the sketch of the day or warm-up category. They'll do this on their sketchbook, or they will do it in Photoshop or Illustrator and save the file as the sketch of the day. Hey art teachers, so right now I'm on a prep period and I'm going to get set up for figure drawing. I really want to have everything set up ahead of time for this drawing session so we can get the maximum amount of time with the students taking turns posing and being the models using the figure drawing prompts. So at this point, I need to rearrange the room so that students can sit in almost like a U or a circle shape for figure drawing. All right, so here's how it looks. I'm really happy with this. Whoever is modeling will grab a prompt, read it, and then come into the center and strike their pose, whatever it's gonna be. So I'm gonna be building this lesson by showing them how to find what's called the line of action, or the line of movement, and it's kind of the dominant line of the figure. Super excited. We'll see how it all turns out. So I'm gonna assemble these drawing boards, but I wanted to show you some of the materials we're gonna be using for figure drawing. I have vine charcoal, I have Conti crayons, white ones, and I also have some compressed graphite sticks. A lot of newsprint, because we're going to be doing the quick poses. So we're going to do newsprint with the vine charcoal. So what I ended up deciding on for today is 2 toned pieces of charcoal paper, and I'm trying to give students a couple of choices, and then I'm putting the textured side up so they know what side to draw on, and 2 pieces of newsprint. And I went through and cut some of this toned charcoal paper in half for this first drawing session, since students will be new to it. I also chose the pieces that are a little bit faded and not in the best shape. They will use these for the quick poses, and then for some of the longer poses they can use these with the Conti crayon or the vine charcoal or even the graphite sticks. So my students have had 1 class period looking at the figure, and this will be a follow-up to that lesson. And students were given some coffee stirs, and we did this finding the hips and shoulders and legs and arms angles. And I actually got this from a book called Figure Drawing by Peter Jenny. We also did some rubbings of our little stick people. And then today we're going to switch to talking more about the line of action, which is a more curving or flowing line. So instead of looking for these angles, we're going to be looking for just kind of the essence of the pose. This could be the line of action for this figure right here. So if this is that line of action, if I'm doing a gesture drawing, I may just follow that line of action along and then think about the angles of my hips, and then start to think about some of these volumes and how they move around. This and going down here, this leg coming out, and then they just follow these sweeping motions to get their gesture. So students will do this practice before they begin posing for one another. They will use this same sheet and create 1 to 2 figures. And these prompts have different motions that a student could choose to do for them. So there is some creativity there. I find that it helps make students feel less awkward when they're posing for their classmates, because that is a big ask, and it adds some humor to the process, because some of them are kind of basic, like this one says, you are checking to see what time it is, which could be a watch, could be, looking for, is there a clock around? Or opening a phone and clicking it. So there's a lot of ways you could check for time, but there's other ones like you just got pooped on by a bird. I do give students the discretion to go ahead and change to a different prompt if they do not want to act out whatever's on there. So it's very lighthearted. And at this point in the school year, I've built a lot of community trust. So I would not probably advise this as like a first day activity, because it does take a lot of courage to stand there and pose. It's a great way to just bring some humor and lightness and direction. Hey, art teachers, now that the room is all arranged for figure drawing, I'm going to give you a quick tour of my classroom. This classroom is pretty epic. All right, let's get into it. When you come in the room, this is the front board. There's actually kind of a lot of space back here. This is some of the projects we're doing in 2 of my classes and some examples from students. I kind of use this window space as a desk, honestly, because it's so beautiful. I just got donuts for my students. Here is how I organize Wacom tablets. These are bamboo dish drying racks that I got off of Amazon, and they are the perfect way to store these Wacom tablets. I have students put the adapters right here. I also ordered some kind of basic earphones so they can listen to the tutorials. All of these are numbered, so if a student checks them out, I just make sure that I have all of them accounted for. Here is how I set up for painting, some general supplies and X-Acto knives and boards, and our aprons. We're lucky to have this kind of spray out booth for any kind of toxic materials, traditional spray paints, and fixatives. This is the sink area, and there's a nice bookshelf above it. Look, there's a wonderful little mess that a student left today. So it's not just your classroom. Over here is where the students put their phones. Pretty good about that at our school. They do it in all their classes. And then this is our critique wall. This is my rubric above here, and we're all set up for our critique this week for our pattern project. So here's our little coffee and tea station, some little mugs that I collect from thrift stores and such, and a few little snacks. Here is my desk, and it's honestly pretty clean at this moment. There's my document camera up on a mug. It helps me get a better angle. I love this chime for getting students' attention. I use this monitor to project slides and video for students, and it works out quite well. So my number one piece of advice for art teachers is to make sure that you nurture the artist in you. I think it can be really draining if you're focusing all your attention on your students, classroom management, behavior, and you're not feeding that creative side of you. Maybe you go to an exhibition or an art gallery and you see something that really sparks an idea for a lesson plan. Bring your passion to it. Your students are going to pick up on that, and that's going to be way more valuable to them than having like the perfectly planned lesson that checks all the boxes. Also, sometimes I take the opportunity to just work on something for fun while my students are having studio time, and I will just sketch and chit chat and offer some feedback. I won't stay there the whole period, just a couple of minutes and maybe bop around. This is something I saw my master teacher do, and she was in her 38th year of teaching. So working on her own thing while in class was very helpful to sustain such a long career. Don't neglect the inner artist, and it will enrich everything you do. The figure drawing class could not have gone better. I'm so pleased with how everything turned out. The students were very receptive. Everybody participated, including myself. We all did poses. Everybody said how fun it was. One student said, I love how this class is just not awkward. Something like that should be awkward, but it wasn't at all. Just everyone feels so comfortable in here. I love it. And that kind of thing, that is such a big win for me. That just makes my day. I want students to feel comfortable. I want them to feel that they can express themselves, that they can make mistakes. So I think we're really set up for success. Hi art teachers, I'm just checking in. It's lunchtime. I just got back upstairs from the cafeteria. We're very lucky they do give us lunch, and I usually get whatever cooked vegetable, some rice or grain, and then I make a salad. First half of lunch is for students and faculty to eat, and the second half is office hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat this before it gets too busy in here. Hey teacher friends, so I am just out for a little walk on this trail really close to our school. I had an extra 15 minutes from my lunch period, so I'm gonna enjoy nature and just relax. I really don't take advantage of this enough. I wanted to share how I set up for acrylic painting. I have the brushes organized as flats, round, and detail brushes. And then this is a wax paper, and this is where students mix their paints. They use these palette knives, and they actually store their paints in this well palette. So it has 12 different divots, which they call wells. I put a sticker on it and they can put their names on it. And then this keeps the paint, if they put a lot in there, it keeps the paint moist for a few days. We are doing masking right now, so students have masking tape, and I've actually reused some old canvas boards from last year. I just gessoed them, and they're testing out some techniques on these. That's another way I kind of keep materials from year to year. One of the things I hope my students take away from my class is that they can be creative wherever they're at with their skill level. I feel like we put realism on this like hierarchy at the pinnacle, at the top of the pyramid, and realism is really just one part of art. You know, I always tell students about that piece Comedian by, who is it, by Maurizio Cattelan, or I might be butchering the name, but you guys know it's the banana duct tape to a wall. And I always tell them about that piece and say, look, that's art that sold for $120,000, I believe 3 times, right? And then became a performance piece. If we can define art so broadly, why are you putting yourself in this box of realism? Why is that the pinnacle? And I get it. It's really beautiful to draw realistically, and I definitely want to teach my students that, but we don't have to put that as the top of the pyramid. All human beings can express, all of us are creative, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to be an art teacher. And so I just hope everyone leaves my class feeling empowered, that they have some techniques and some strategies for getting into that creative mindset, that flow space, so that art can be a part of their lives, whether they want to be professional artists or art teachers or designers or not. That's what I hope they take away from my class. In my foundations class, we are doing these color scheme paintings with hard edges. We are using tape, but we're also using this clear contact paper and using some silhouettes that are printed off where students can sketch their own, and cutting them out to make these stencils, and students can kind of sponge over them. And the idea is to create layers within their color scheme. So they have to use either a complementary, analogous, triadic, or monochromatic color scheme. All right, art teachers, thank you so much for coming along with me in this day in the life. I hope that you found the tips and tricks helpful. And if you want to see more day in the life videos just like this, make sure you're subscribed to the Art of Education University channel. I'm going to go home and rest and decompress and get ready for tomorrow. All right, take care.